You can go there and copy the cover letter. By no means this is legal advice. This is only an educational video. So please make sure you amend the letter, follow the tips in the links, and familiarize yourself with the immigration rules or visitor visa route. Okay, so let's begin. Now, this screen that I'm showing you, it looks a lot of text. Basically, these are rules V4.2 A to E and V4.3. Now, I don't want to explain all the points because I made a video about that, how to draft a cover letter, how do you meet the grounds. But in short, what this rules means is you need to meet each and every ground from A to E in this video, like in this document, my apologies, to ensure that you get the visitor visa. Now, in order to get the visitor visa, you need to comply because when the immigration officer refuses the application, these are the grounds which he or she selects to refuse your visa. But for this visa, what is relevant is if you look at on the screen, it is, let me click on the link. It is this part which is E, V4.2E, which means in simple sense, you should be able to cover the expenses for the UK trip yourself. And if you are not able to cover, that means if there is a third party here, then they should be able to cover the entire trip. But you, in order to do that, you must have a genuine professional or personal relationship with the applicant and is not in breach or will be in breach of any immigration laws of the country. That means the sponsor, the third party, should not be in breach of any immigration rules or at the time of application, and can and will provide support to the applicant to the intended duration to stay as a visitor. I have written a cover letter which I am going to cover right now. So, first of all, this is the cover letter structure that you should follow. Here, I have a maternal uncle who's, let me hide it, who's settled in the UK, is probably a British citizen or settled, has an indefinite leave to remain in the UK, and is inviting his niece to the UK for a period of 15 days. But in order for the sponsor to provide a letter that satisfies that if they are paying for your trip, right, so you need to make sure that you have this structure. The reason why I say that is, as much as there is scrutiny on you as an applicant, there is scrutiny on somebody on whom you're relying as a sponsor, as a third party, that, first of all, they're not in breach of any immigration rules, or they have a sound financial status, and most important, that they are settled in the UK, either ILR, ILE, or British citizenship. They must have that status to invite you. Now, how do you structure that? We're going to go step by step. First, on right hand side, you will write your address, which is the sponsor's address, then the UKVI home office, then you have to date it, and then you write the subject, that sponsorship in support of standard visitor visa application, Miss Angela Matthews, passport number so and so. Now, what you will see in the first paragraph, you will write, I write in support of the standard visitor visa application of Miss Angela Matthews, whom I'm inviting to the United Kingdom for a temporary family visit of 15 days. Now, let's stop here. Family visit, okay? This sponsorship is provided in accordance to Appendix V of immigration rules, including paragraph V4.2 A to E concerning the genuine visitor requirements. So, in nutshells, if you don't understand the numbers and all of that, what take it like this: there are 5 set of rules. V4.2 is A to E, A, B, C, D, E, which I'm going to show you to the top, are these rules. Okay, they want to make sure that you are all of these. So they want to say the applicant must satisfy that the decision maker that they are a genuine visitor. Now, genuine visitor, there is a test for it, that you must meet all these conditions, that you will leave the UK at the end of the visit, and you will not live in the UK for extended periods and frequent visits, is genuinely seeking entry for the purpose permitted, which is the family visit, will not undertake prohibited activities, that you will not do any work, and must have sufficient funds to cover all reasonable expenses. Now, if you cannot cover your own expenses, then you will come and through a sponsor. So here I have written that I'm coming for these purposes, including applicant's intention to leave the UK at the end of the visit, and paragraph V4.3 A to C, which I showed you on the top, permits the third party financial support where a genuine personal relationship exists. The sponsor is not in breach of immigration laws or entry, and the sponsor is able to maintain and accommodate the applicant for the duration. What I have said. Now, why we are writing these numbers, these V4.3 A and E, is because the you have to understand now, since 2012 or 13, there are no appeal rights. So if you make a visa application form for the visitor visa, if it is refused, you do not get a right of appeal, right? There is judicial review that is available, but it is extraordinarily expensive. So you need to make sure that your application is airtight and you are indeed a genuine visitor in accordance to the rules. So when you mention such terms, it immediately puts the person who's assessing your application that you are a well-informed person who understands the rules, because they have to find one of the reasons to refuse a visa. They don't have the intention to refuse the visa, but if they find that you do not meet any one of those, they will point out to those rules. Okay, so if you point out that I know these rules, this is why I'm mentioning that, you already have a good credibility and you are an informed genuine visitor in terms of awareness. Okay, now we go. I confirm I share a genuine and subsisting personal relationship with Ms. Matthews, and that I will meet full financial cost of her proposed visit as detailed below. Now, this personal relationship does not mean that you're married to that person or professional relationship. What it simply means is that if you say personal relationship, he's actually inviting his niece. That means the niece's biological mother is the real sister of the person who is Robin Matthews, the sponsor. And we have to prove through documentation that the biological mother of the applicant and this sponsor are related, right? And I'm going to go take you through that. You cannot just make up that there is no relationship. If the relationship is professional, for example, somebody has borrowed you the money at a certain rate of interest, and they've explained that at the end of the visit they expect money in return, then that becomes not a personal relationship, it becomes a professional relationship. Okay, but for now we are only considering personal relationship because we're meeting the test that there is a personal relationship, citizenship. Now, to prove that, if I say I am a British citizen, then I'm British citizen, I'm going to delete that. If I'm not a British citizen, I'm going to delete that, like that, right? And if you are a British citizen, I will provide the copy of British passport. If you are ILR resident, then you provide the copy of your ILR that proves that, right? That's your passport copy. Now, the nature of relationship. Now, it's really important that you create a structured cover letter that takes the case officer like a step by step approach, that I have a settled status. Then I have what is the nature of relationship, because that's really important. The applicant is my niece. So you said she's my niece. We maintain a genuine ongoing relationship since approximately 2003. So probably it is possible that the niece is 23 years of age. So since the time she was born, he or she have maintained a good relationship. So photographs together. So any old photographs when the niece was born, or you visited the home country, for example, India, any communications, evidence of previous visits to travel, say the maternal home, or meetings the sister, for example. What you could do is, if you have a family photograph in India or whichever country you are, and you're standing with your sister, who's the biological mother of the applicant, and that little girl who's now 23 years old is in the hands of that person. So you would write, here is a proof of my nature of relationship. On left is my sister, who's the biological mother of the applicant, Miss Angela Matthews. The name of my sister is XYZ. Here is a proof of that. And you can provide a birth certificate copy that you share the same father. You can provide passport copy or any document like Aadhaar card or national ID card that provides proof that you have the same father. Okay, and I tend to stick. You should not just create fictitious communications that, oh hi, you're my sister and you're my niece and all of that. No, you should try to show over a length of time, right? So that there is a genuine relationship. Like any chats you've exchanged in the past, you can always export it and say the source is WhatsApp. Do not try to amend or delete certain stuff. So if the communication is for that, you've exchanged some emails, you've been on Facebook, that also can prove. But I think if you have an official document like a birth certificate, it is really really helpful and strong. But provide some pictures also. Now, the purpose of the visit is a family visit to spend summer holidays and do sightseeing. That is excellent way to explain why she is coming and what she is going to do. Proposed dates: 1st of April to 15th of April, duration 15 days. During this period, the applicant will reside at my address above. So address is this one. You can have a look. 1 Butler Wharf apartment, Shad Thames, right? Now, the next part is after the purpose, applicant's current circumstances in the home country. Now, this is one of the reasons I'm absolutely certain, based on experience, that why the visitor visas, even on family visit, have been refused despite having a sponsor. There was a case that I analyzed. I put the link down below, in which the applicant failed to provide the sponsor's status in the application. So you should check out that video as to why the visa was refused. It was a real case. And here you could be in either of those categories. The applicant is presently a full-time student, employed full-time, self-employed, not as currently employed. Now, one of those could apply to you. I have said that this girl, Angela Matthews, is a full-time student at the Indian Institute of Management, the number one business school in India. If you are employed, and then you don't need to include this and the remaining 2 points. If you're not employed, for example, you could be 14 years old or you could be 15 years old, and you're not currently employed. So you should say the applicant is not employed, he's a minor, he's right now in school, and here's the proof of admission in the school. Now, why, if you're employed, then you should provide the applicant has ongoing employment and authorized leave for the duration of this visit. Employer confirmation and leave approval are enclosed. Now, why I'm saying this is that you could be falling under one of those circumstances, that you could be working professional or you could be not a working professional. So if you're a student where you have no income, that is where the most scrutiny happens, because then the case officer thinks this is a young migrant. He has got no reason to go back from the UK to the home country because he wants to come and settle here, right, on a visitor visa, which is not allowed. So they stop you from doing that, and they want to make sure that you qualify. So I said this student actually is studying for an MBA at the top business school in India, for example, and right now there is a vacation time. So make sure you provide the copy of admission, payment proof of school, and a proof that there is vacation going on, or get a letter from professor on the letterhead that there is a vacation going on, and right now that's why you are not attending, and you wish to go to the UK for a event. Now, I also want to address this point. Although not presently employed, gainfully employed, the applicant maintains strong ties to the home country, including family, social, and educational commitments. For example, ongoing university studies, supporting evidence. I confirm the applicant fully intends to leave the UK at the end of the visit in compliance with V4.2. Now, this might look like really boring and really like, what is the point of mentioning this? When people are not employed, or people who are self-employed, or people who do not have consistent income, the worry of the case officer is, how is this person going to meet the ground V4.2E, which I showed you at the top. How will they pay for the trip without depending on the UK public funds, and will they actually return to um, their home country? Now, if we say this person is not employed, and you have a sponsor who's financially liquid, has a solid history, has no criminal record, then you have a tangible proof that, my uncle is paying for the entire trip. But I'm also disclosing that I'm not working. But then we need to have a strong emphasis on why you are a genuine visitor and what will compel you to go back. So then you can show that even though I'm not working right now, I have my mother and father. I intend to join my course or for the university, which is going to be starting in X amount of days, and I want to remain. But I have never been to the UK, and I'm only attending UK for this and this function, and I want to do sightseeing. Now that would become a plausible reason, as long as you structure it in the right manner. Okay. Now, given our applicant is only a student, I'm going to only select. Now, the sponsorship, financial sponsorship, V4.3, pursuant to the paragraph V4.3 Appendix to V to Immigration Rules, I confirm I will bear the full cost of applicant's visit to the UK. This is really important, because now you're saying is that here is a student who's my niece, and I'm inviting her for a family visit or for a vacation of 15 days. So I'm paying for that trip. He or she has to explicitly state that. Once you do that, then I'm the maternal applicant's maternal uncle, the biological brother of my applicant's mother. This is a direct blood relationship. This clarifies that there is a genuine personal relationship between the applicant and the sponsor, because the mother of the applicant is the brother of or sister of the sponsor. In support of this, I enclose my birth certificate, the applicant's mother's passport copy or Aadhaar card, which means any one of those which provides that there is a name of the father, evidence confirming that we share the same father, a copy of applicant's birth certificate confirming their mother's identity. For example, there is an applicant and then there is an applicant's mother. Then there is the sponsor, right? So first we proved that there is a relation between the sponsor and the applicant's mother, so brother and sister. Then there has to be proof between the applicant's mother and the applicant, right? So that you prove like she is my mother, so there is a birth certificate copy. So this way you provide a three-way linkage that there is a genuine ongoing relationship. Now you need to also show what is the total cost of the trip. The return flight will cost 723. I will pay for the maintenance, which is £50 per day times 15, 750. Accommodation and main meals are fully provided at my residence. That's why I put it zero. Visa application fees is for £127 for 6 months, and contingency is for 350. So total is 119.50. If you just write that total trip cost is approximately X and you do not give a breakdown, again, this will not go in your favor. So it's really important that you break it down and put it in a sequential manner. Normally, people can say, why do you have to pay daily maintenance? Well, it's up to you. But my suggestion is because you're inviting somebody to come to the UK and they will stay at home, they will get the food at home, they will be going out, doing tube travel, so they will need some money. And if you explicitly state that I am going to provide that, then it's a good example. If you're employed and you are partially taking care of your own expenses and partially taking care of expenses by the sponsor, then you need to state it that my sponsor will look after flights, visa, and accommodation. And as far as the daily expenses are concerned, I will bear on my own. But then the confusion becomes is whose bank statements do you have to show? If you're fully being funded by the sponsor, then this last 6 months of bank statements will come into the picture and then you will not show your funds. So this is to make sure that the visa officer does not get confused. Okay. I confirm this amount is proportionate and affordable in light of my income and savings, as evidenced by enclosed payslips and bank statements. These funds are available without recourse to public funds. Now, in the visa application form, they will ask you what is your monthly income, what is your monthly expenditure. In that, your monthly income, if you're a student, is zero. Your monthly expenditure, you look at your statement, you total the expenses that you spend. Even if your parents are paying, you add for 6 months and divided by 6 months, you will get the average expenditure. And you look at the expenditure in categories like if you are paying any rent, food, mobile bill, credit card bills, or anything. And then you clearly state that my father pays for my expenses. But for this trip, they will ask you, is there somebody who's paying for your trip? Answer yes. And then you write the name of the sponsor, their status. You have to mention like that. Now, I confirm that this amount is proportionate, like I repeated. The applicant will undertake only activities permitted under the standard visitor route, namely tourism and attendance to a private family event scheduled on so and so. Now, let me pause here. This is a specific term. The applicant will undertake only permitted activities. So, let me go to the top and you see this rule. It says is generally seeking entry or stay for the purpose that is permitted under the visitor route, right? These are the activities, and will not undertake any prohibited activities. So prohibited activities simply means the activities that are not allowed. For example, any paid work, any studying. I mean, there is a certain level of study that is allowed, like English speaking course, but usually you are not supposed to undertake prohibited activities to work. Certain paid engagements are allowed, but that is not relevant to this application. So I'm not going to discuss. But prohibited activities, they just want to make sure that you come, watch the place, travel, spend some money, then go back. Okay. So that's why you have mentioned here will undertake only permitted activities. So the reason why this person is coming is vacations, sightseeing, and attending a private event. So if you are attending a marriage, you say there is a wedding in the family, this person has an event, or there is a baby shower or something, right? Which is why I'm attending. Then you need to mention if there is a card that would go a long way, that you printed card, so you provide the scanned copy of that. If there is no function, that's completely okay. You're just coming to spend some time, right, with your maternal uncle and maternal aunt. A copy of that invitation and venue details are enclosed. That is only if you have a birthday party or a marriage or something like that, right? So you need to provide the details, right? Evidence of financial capacity. Now, This is where you need to prove that a sponsor is able to look after you financially. So what do you need to provide? The employment contract, for example, with Microsoft. This person is working last 6 months bank pay slips. So for example, we're in the month of March, so I will provide February, January, December, November, October, and potentially September, right? Last 6 months of bank statements. Also, so you need to make sure that the bank statements are of the bank account in which the salary is being credited, and the net salary to the nearest penny is actually being credited in the same account as it is claimed in the payslips. Because the employment contract would show your gross income without taxes, the role, the employer name, the designation when the contract started, the net salary, the payslips are after the tax has been deducted, the national insurance payments have been deducted, the NI number would be visible there, is the amount of money that you should be showing. And then there would be clear distinction of the total incoming, the income of the sponsor, and total outgoings of the sponsors. So if your sponsor is hand to mouth, I mean, if he's earning £2,800 per month, but he's spending £2,600 per month as an average expenditure, and only £200 is remaining, and there is a lot of debt, the chances are that your application will not be successful, because they can say that to pay for £2,000 of trip, which is here, he the sponsor or she the sponsor does not have sufficient funds, and there is a risk that that applicant will be dependent on the public funds. So it is extremely important that you plan such a family visit in advance, at least 6 to 8 months in advance, so that you know that the sponsor is financially liquid and they have solid funds. If there are any sudden deposits, for example, you transferred the money from your home country into the sponsor's bank account, and it is showing as a credit, right, as an international transfer, that would attract additional scrutiny if that additional amount is not explained. For example, the sponsor might have multiple incomes. He could say, I get one salary from Microsoft, but I'm also doing another job, say part-time at Tesco's. I get this amount of money per week. I do 20 hours. So you need to club the income, and any sudden income or deposit, if it is in your bank statement of the sponsor, you should need to explain. For example, I got a bonus, please provide the copy of the bonus as an evidence. Because if the visa officer thinks in the last 28 days or last 40 days there was a sudden deposit of money, and that is unexplained other than your traditional income, then that would become the ground for visa refusal. Okay, so never have sudden deposits. If you have deposits, please explain them in the cover letter explicitly. Now, employment confirmation letter, if it's available, but I think once you have employment copy, the national insurance number, they can do the checks and they can find out easily, so don't need to worry. Now, accommodation is really important. So the applicant will stay at this place. I am lawfully occupy this property. Now you need to select one of these options. Either you must be a tenant or you could be a owner. So you select one. Say I am a tenant, so I would take this out. In support of lawful residence, I enclose a copy of my tenancy contract, not the title deed. If you own, then you need to provide. And most recent council tax statement. So council tax is something that you pay every year. So it proves that you have your name there, your address there, and the tax that you paid based on the band of the property that you live in. Now, this clearly shows that not only you have the funds to pay, you are proving your residence in the UK by showing a bill where you're claiming that this person will stay. It is also a good idea to show that how many rooms are in the property. So I've written the property is a 3 bedroom flat. I reside there with my wife, Mrs. Amanda Matthews, and we have no children. So it's a 3 bedroom flat. So one room is for the person. A copy of my wife's identification document is enclosed for the completeness. So this becomes really important, that sometimes what happens is husband and wife are not getting along, and if the husband sponsors someone and the wife has an objection and she has a lawful share of the property, for example, if they bought the property together and they both joint owners, then one person can object to it, and therefore if the other person is not aligned, you could have a problem. But normally if you mention that there is Amanda Matthews and the identification is provided, it should be completely okay. Now, a copy of my wife's identification. There is a separate unoccupied bedroom available for applicant. The accommodation is therefore adequate and will not be in result in overcrowding. The applicant will stays will comply with the UK housing standards. I confirm accommodation is provided without charge during the visit. I meet all the rules under V4.3 A to C. Let me highlight it. Let me go on the top so that you refresh your memory. look at A to C. So there is a personal genuine relationship with applicant, and it is not or. That means there is the first part you have to meet is not in breach of any immigration laws. So they will do a credit check or a you know financial check and the CRB check, criminal record check, that there is no uh, arrears, there is no judgments against the person, there is no criminal trial going on, or there is no previous penalties from the immigration that has been levied on the sponsor. So you need to make sure that your sponsor is clean, and then he or she can provide the support to the applicant for the entire for the intended duration, right? So I have said this person meets all the grounds. This is not for the applicant, this is for the sponsor, that they need to be clean, they need to have a relationship with you, and they can pay for your trip. So let's go at the bottom. Financial capacity, accommodation, we've said that, I meet that. Then declaration is really important. So I confirm that the applicant is applying solely for the entry clearance as a standard visitor for the purpose of temporary family visit. So he confirms the applicant will undertake only activities permitted, which is do sightseeing. The applicant will not seek employment and conduct business beyond permitted activities or access public funds in the UK. Public funds are benefits which you are not allowed unless you are having a British citizenship or settled status once you pay taxes in the country lawfully. The applicant intends to depart the UK on or before 16th of April. I think you should not write or, you should write on 16th of April in compliance with the conditions of the visa. The applicant maintains strong ties to India and fully intends to return upon the completion of visit consistent with the requirements V4.2. The invitation and financial sponsorship are genuine and provided in accordance with V4.3. I make this declaration in good faith, confirm that the information provided in this letter is true and accurate to the best of my knowledge, and then you sign this letter. Now you take this letter, let's go to the top, and it's a big one, but it's really valuable. You take this letter, sign the letter, and you provide a PDF copy, and then you upload it in the TLS contact portal. Now you don't have to just provide this letter. This is only a sponsorship letter where you will need to show that you have a sponsor. You will need to provide a cover letter separately stating that I am intending to visit the UK for a family visit. The reason why I'm going on a family visit is I have a maternal uncle. His name is so and so. I'm only going for 15 days. If you don't know how to write a cover letter, there is another video that I've made, how to write a cover letter for visitor visa. That is also in the description. So please make sure you check that, because in that you will have to prove how do you meet the grounds from V4.2 A to E. But in that you have to just keep it very simple. You have to say that I am a student, for example, at the University of so and so. I am only going for holidays to attend this function or this event for vacations, and then I will return back. But most of the talking, in terms of why should the visa be granted or how will you fund yourself, will be done from this letter, right? So it's really important that you have a clear structure. And if you provide the proof of your for example, your expenses, you can also provide that my personal expenses, average expenditure expenses are last 3 months or 6 months statements are here. But then when you're uploading the document, I want you to use a certain naming convention when it comes to sponsorship documents. So let's look at the bottom, and I will write and so that you understand. So naming convention. Another very important tip: when you are supposed to upload the copy of your passport, please make sure you scan the colored copy of each and every page, even if it's blank page, one, two, three, four, in a chronological order. If a page number is missing, right, they can refuse the visa because they might be thinking that you've hidden some information that you should disclose. If your visa was refused for some other country or for the UK before, then please make sure you disclose that, because if you don't disclose that, then it could be a false statement and they would think that you're not of good character and you're not credible. Once you lose credibility, you are done. So please make sure you're honest. And in the cover letter, if there is a circumstance that you've not been able to explain in yes or no questions, please take the opportunity in the notes column in the online application form and a separate cover letter. And the reason why I'm following this structure, like applicant passport copy, sponsorship copy, because it will make the job of the visa case officer easier. The easier the job of the visa case officer will be, the lesser time it will take. Normally in 3 weeks or 2 weeks you should get a decision, and the decision would come by email. Please check for your spam folders, and hopefully through this letter you have got great guidance and structure to ensure that you have a sponsor, what they should be writing, and do not assume anything. So hopefully you've liked the video. Now I make a lot of long form videos with the intention to ensure that people who are genuine visitors or who want to settle in the UK, they get the best educational content to learn from it and do their own research and then make an application. And please make sure you subscribe to my channel. Your comments are really encouraging, and I'm so grateful for the overwhelming support that I've been getting for my British citizenship applications that have been video that I made, and people are asking a lot of questions. In case you want a tailored a consultation for paid basis and you want me to draft a letter for you, you can always contact me, and I will charge a fees for that. But I hope that this video is sufficient for you. Till next time, take care. Bye.